And here we are in the hero phase of the turn. And this is when the whole open world dungeon crawl design truly kicks in. Remember, as I've said many times, there's nothing linear about Dungeon Crusade. You can do what you want with your heroes and go where you want in the dungeon. And there is just a multitude of things, actions that you can do on your hero's turn. So let's discuss this. And let's go over this real quick. Remember our initiative tokens for that grand plan we had in the upkeep phase? Now we're going to activate our heroes. But remember, there was the encounter phase and there was the guardian phase. So maybe your plan is not going to go as you thought. Maybe a guardian spawned in or something happened within the encounter phase. And to me, that's one of the most exciting and surprising things about the game. So we're going to activate our heroes by initiative token. And real quickly, of course, you have your fetch hound Albus here. Albus can be activated anytime during the hero phase. So at the beginning, at the end, in the middle, whenever you want. Okay, so at this time, let's go over some of the actions that a hero can do. And remember, an initiative token is 2 actions. So quickly, we're going to go over every action a hero can perform, and there's some free actions. So we're going to be referring to our quick reference guide. So we'll touch on everything briefly. We're first going to discuss everything a hero can do that costs 1 action. So first on the card is they could just simply move. And just in case you missed it in the other video, here's Palum, she's right here, and there is the movement icon. So we can see it's going to be the roll of a d6, and we are going to add 4. So she has a base movement of 4. Okay, so 5 and 4 is 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Next, a hero can move adjacent to a chamber door and try to discover a secret room. Attempt to pick the lock on a chamber door of a discovered secret room. Move on to a treasure chest token and draw from the treasure chest deck. Remember, this is the ultimate in risk and reward. Move and attack a minion or guardian in the dungeon. And remember something, anytime a hero launches an attack, that immediately ends their turn. Move and attack a minion or guardian in the dungeon while rallying 1 or 2 additional heroes. And real quickly, it only takes 1 essence to rally 1 or 2 heroes. Move into a chamber and attack a champion monster. And remember, these are the champion monster tokens, so we would draw from the level 1 champion monster deck. Move into a chamber to combat a champion monster, but also rally up to 2 heroes to help out in the battle. And remember, since Maheliak went in, he would pay 1 essence to rally the other 2 heroes. We see that this is a level 2 champion monster, so we would draw from the level 2 champion monster deck. A hero could move adjacent to or onto a mining site and take a mining action. We're going to have a video dedicated to mining and crafting power gems, but we'll just keep it simple for this video. But do remember, to mine and craft, you will need a pickaxe, or rather your hero will need a pickaxe. And as you can see, there's a chance it could degrade from use. And real quickly, these are some of the power gems that you can create from mining and crafting. These plug into certain pieces of gear and give them some type of bonus to their warfare types or other things. But again, we'll have a video dedicated just for this. A hero could move adjacent to a dead minion or guardian that was previously slain this turn or the prior turn and attempt to loot it. And I'd like to go over the loot and gold roll, because I think you'd like to learn about this. Let's take a look at our skeletal grunt here, our dead skeletal grunt friend. Here's his monster card. First of all, remember that there's this colored crystal here that's associated with the colored base, so that's how you can keep track of them. So notice here on the card, there's a 20 and a 20 by this gold coin and the treasure chest. What that means is you're going to roll a d20. If 20 comes up, that monster was carrying a piece of loot and it was carrying some gold. So you'll get to draw from the loot deck with this, and right here, if 20 comes up, you're going to get that monster was carrying 100 gold. So roll, and no, it was an 18. You only make one roll on that. Lastly, you're going to notice that some monsters will have a better chance of having a piece of loot or gold on it. So when I created all of the monsters and creatures, minions are your trash mobs. They're probably not going to be carrying anything. But the guardians are usually carrying something, and the higher level champion monsters. Move into a chamber and make a hide check to escape a guardian who may be tracking this hero. These are the tracking tokens. When a guardian is tracking a hero, you're going to put one on the monster card and the other matching one on the hero card, and that signifies that that certain guardian is tracking that hero. We can touch on this quickly. A hide check is simply this. Every chamber in the dungeon has a number assigned to it, from 13 to 20. So picture it like this. 13 and 14, there are a lot of maybe crates and things to hide behind so the guardian doesn't see you. If you're in a chamber like this one, 18, 19, or 20, there's not many places to hide. What you're going to do is, to make a hide check, you're just going to simply roll the d20. If you meet or exceed that value on the chamber, your hero has successfully hidden from that guardian, and you can remove the tracking tokens. Also, every hero does have a hide attribute right here. So you get to add that to the d20. And that's simply how a hero hides from a guardian who is tracking them. The last thing we are going to talk about that costs an action is enlightenment. And this action is when a hero gains a new special ability of their current level from the academy in the village. Nothing else can be done when using enlightenment. And in some rare cases, a hero can level up, but we'll have that in another video. So let's just discuss this quickly. Let's say that Enwyn here has initiative token 6. It's the start of her turn. She is going to just cash this in, and she is going to gain a new special ability. Her current level is level 1, so she has to, of course, select a level 1 special ability. A hero can never go to level 2 unless they are level 2, and so on and so forth for level 3. So here are the 3 unique abilities. And you're going to notice right here 2 life force. So all of these are 2 life force. So we'll say that she wants to gain dual shot. Here's the 2 life force, and remember, think of that like XP. You get it from killing monsters, completing quests, and so on. So she'll cash in the 2 life force, and She used enlightenment, and now she has dual shot. And this will cost 2 essence to use. And that's quite simply what enlightenment is. So now let's talk about some free actions your hero can do in the hero phase. So the following things are what heroes can do that do not cost an action. And first up, they can smash open a crate within a chamber after slaying a champion monster. Or, as you saw in the seeding process, this happened to be an empty chamber and there was a crate. So a hero could just walk in and smash that open. And remember that game mechanic, there's 18 different unique crates. You're going to take all the crate tokens, put them into a mug or bag, reach in and pull one out. And that's what the hero found within the crate. And I don't want to give you any spoilers and show you all the crates, but I just wanted to show you an example. So let's say that you reached in, grabbed a crate token. Well, your hero found 500 gold. Or your hero smashed open a crate and inside was a black rock viper. You're going to have to roll it 1d6 and that viper has bit your hero for that much damage. Another free action is a hero can spend 1 essence to gain 1 movement. This can be done as many times as a player likes, as long as the hero has enough essence to do so. For example here, let's say that Palum, our rogue, was trying to get into this chamber, but she ran out of movement. We can see it's 1 and 2 into the chamber. And as a side note, opening a chamber door is automatic. It's no action, it just happens. So we can see that Palum is short there on getting in. So what she's going to do is spend 2 essence. So 1, 2, and that will gain 2 movement. 1, 2, and into the chamber. And like I said, you can burn as much essence as you want, but remember, it's sort of a precious commodity because you're going to need that for your special abilities. And lastly, if you ever run out of essence, you can no longer, of course, do that. As another side note, if you ever fight a monster, your hero fights a monster and you're going to lose essence and you have none, that is going to come off your health. Another free action is to insert a power gem into a socket of a piece of gear. This is very simple. Here we can see this is green, uncommon, and we'll say that Zeke, our wizard, has this. Right here, that is an empty socket right there. So, and again, this is where the game really opens up, and remember, we're going to have a video on this. This is where speccing out your hero and building out your hero really comes into play and how you can customize this. So let's say that Zeke wants to be more powerful in physical warfare. He's already great with arcane warfare. So he did some mining and he found some moonstone, a zoltanite, and a ruby stone. Blacksmith creates the power gem like this, and you just slide it right there. So think of that's getting plugged into that socket. And people have asked, why is there one on each side? Because wherever you want to place that is like that. So you can insert a power gem into a socket of a piece of gear. Another free action is loot an adjacent monster after slaying it. So we brought our friend, our skeletal grunt, back, and let's say that Enwyn just killed it. And like we chatted about before, that she can do the loot and gold roll upon slaying it. And remember, minions do not have any life force. None of the minions do. Only champion monsters have it, and of course guardian monsters have life force. So remember, you're going to make 1 roll on the d20 and 15. So we're going to consult the card, and no, she needed to have a 20 to collect on that. And let me say real quick on the guardians that you're going to notice a ×2 by the treasure chest and gold. That means you are going to make 2 loot and gold rolls for that because it's a guardian. You know, it's probably carrying a lot of gold, and there's a chance it's carrying 2 pieces of loot. And let me just show you real quick since we're talking about it. Here's Razorfang, one of the 8 guardians, and you can see that right there. So ×2, 16 plus, ×2, 8 plus. So there's a good chance that Razorfang is going to be carrying possibly 600 gold and a chance that he may be carrying 2 pieces of loot. Okay, and for the next free action, I set up a little demo here because there's some things to chat about. Very easy though. Heroes are permitted to trade gear as they're passing by. So let's set up for one example. Let's just say Maheliak has a few extra healing potions, okay? And we'll say he generated 8 movement points. So he could go 1, 2, and that is considered adjacent right there. He could trade with Enwin here, the few potions, and then continue with his movement. The same here is with Albus, our fetch hound. So let's say that he has a lot of movement. Let's say he has 10 movement, and he has 2 health potions, and maybe a piece of gear. So he could go 1, 2, or adjacent, stop there, pass off this piece of gear and a healing potion to Maheliak. He could continue moving here, drop off the healing potion to Enwin, and continue with his movement. So remember, if you're passing by a hero, that's totally fine. It's a free action. You can trade gear or potions, gold, what have you. Okay, this is going to be a real fun one right here, and I set up a little demo. A free action is also using one of your special abilities. So case in point, we have Enwin, Shadowleaf, our archer, and she has acquired a long shot. So we can see she paid 2 life force for this, and it's going to cost 2 essence for her to use this. Remember, when you use a special ability, you're burning essence. That is not in action. And I've had so many people ask me, is there ranged abilities in Dungeon Crusade? Absolutely, and you're going to see a lot of them that the heroes have within certain special abilities like long shot and many others. And they're real fun ones here. Basically, after you use it, you're going to make sure that that monster that you have LOS, line of sight, and this at level 1, she can shoot within 4 spaces away. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The skeletal grunt, we brought him back, is within range. So what we're going to do is we're going to pay the 2 essence, and these are real fun special abilities, nothing complex. You're going to roll a d6. 1 to 2, she missed. 3 to 6, she does 1 damage to the skeletal grunt. So let me get her hero card. We're going to pay that essence down there. Okay, so she's lining up the shot with long shot. We'll set that right here, and she shoots. Wow, right between the eyes, a 6. So she would inflict 1 damage with long shot. So just remember, using a special ability is not in action because you're burning essence, and that's simply how that works. Another free action is evade out of a chamber. So I set up a little demo here. So let's discuss this real quick. It's very, very easy. Let's say our level 1 heroes here, Faith and Maheliak, have encountered a level 2 champion monster, and it's very tough. I happen to have level 2 monster right here. This is a Keeper of the Faith. Notice this little arrow symbol right here with the number 13. At the top of a combat round, because remember, when you fight champion monsters, it's continuous until the heroes are dead, the monster's dead, or the heroes evade out of the chamber. And we're going to discuss that on what happens. So let's just say the monster's too tough and they're taking a lot of damage. So they're going to try to evade out. You do 1 at a time. So the top of a combat round, Maheliak says, I'm going to evade out. He's going to roll the d20, and he has to meet or exceed that 13. Also know that on your hero cards, that every hero has an evade attribute. So this is how well they can move and maneuver in a combat situation. So he could add 2 to this roll. So let's say that he was trying to evade, and that's per, he doesn't have to add that, but it would be 19. He successfully evades out. When that happens, they can only move to the square adjacent to the exit. So let's just say that Faith also succeeded. Since that's taken up, she can move to an adjacent spot to where Maheliak is. So we'll just put her there. And that's simply how evade works. But if they would have failed that, that hero would take damage equal to the monster's level. So our Keeper of the Faith is a level 2 champion monster, therefore they would take 2 damage and the battle would continue. But they could also try to evade at the top of the next combat round. Quite simple. And lastly, and there's going to be a video on this, you never want to leave a champion monster alone in a chamber, like in this case right here, because there's an incantation track over on the Dungeon UI board. So that monster is starting an incantation which will put a hex on the village, and you do not want a hex on your village. We'll wrap it up. We'll take a look at the incantation track, but there will be a video on that. We'll just touch on this briefly. Here is the incantation track. It goes up to 4. So in that case, let's say that Faith and Mahaliak, they evaded out. They left that champion monster alone. You're going to place a red marker token on 1 and 2 because it was a level 2 monster. Therefore, you're going to put 2 tokens. If it was a level 3 monster, you're going to put 3 tokens. And of course, if it was a level 4 champion monster, you're going to place it there. If this incantation track is ever filled, like if there was a token on 4, a hex is placed over the village, and that's very bad. Again, we'll talk on it more, but I just wanted to show you that there is an incantation track, and it is very bad. Okay, and we have just a few more free actions left. So we have Palloum right here, and she is in the Halls of the Dead West. So a free action is a hero can light their torch. So picture this was in her backpack, and she declares, I'm just going to light a torch. You flip it over, and the torch is lit. And remember, this gives heroes +2 to their base movement, and it's used in a few quests. And the last thing here is drink a potion. So we have Sir Brennus here, and it could be any part during his turn, but he decides he is going to consume a potion, and you can drink as many potions, or your hero can drink as many potions as they want. So a free action is just quaff down a potion, and on the back it has printed what it does: regain 3 health when consumed. And remember, when you're done with a potion, an empty bottle, or a torch goes out, you're going to place it on the side of the village board, and on the next celebration day they're refreshed. So think of it like the bazaar is restocked. You're going to place all those used ones back into the bazaar. Okay guys, and that ends it for the hero phase. There's a few very minor things, but what we just discussed is everything that you can do. And I hope that you enjoyed that, and you can see there's just, it's non-linear. You can complete quests how you want, go mine, open up treasure chests, smash open crates, and just so much more. So we are now going to, let me say this. In your revised rulebook that I worked with Ilpo on, the very brilliant Ilpo, everything is laid out really nice on this kind of flow chart for your free actions and what costs an action. So you'll enjoy taking a look at this. It's very well formatted, and it's very easy to understand. So moving along now, we are going to go into the monster phase. And remember, this is the last phase of a turn. And what I'd like to do though is, the patrol route system is a big thing in the game. And it provides the minions and guardians with unpredictable movement patterns. And I always consider it like a living dungeon. It's something I've always wanted as a kid, this huge living dungeon experience. I want to dedicate a video just to that. So we're going to go through what the monster phase is. There's actually only a few steps in it. And then I'll have a video dedicated to the patrol route system. And I may do that next. We'll see. So let's get into what you do in the monster phase. Okay, and we're first going to discuss this brand new feature in Dungeon Crusade that I know a lot of people love. And this is the minion movement speed track. Remember that all the minions have a D6 and their base movement, like our skeletal grunt we were looking at. He has a base movement of 2, and it rolls a D6. All the monsters are like that. So I created this little official variant with the game. So at the top of the monster phase, you can use this in 2 ways. You're going to take a D6 and you're going to roll. Let me grab a D6 real quick so you can demonstrate it. Very simple. So we're going to roll a D6 and consult the track here. Right here, here's 6, D12. The monsters are going to be rolling a D12 instead of a D6. So picture, the minions are going to be very aggressive. They're going to have a lot of movement. Let's say 3 came up. They're going to just use the D6. And over here is, if 1 came up, they're going to use a D3, so on and so forth. So what this does is it gives the minions of the dungeon unpredictable speeds of how fast they're going. So the first way is what we just discussed. At the top of the monster phase, you're going to roll a D6, and that's going to be universal. So we rolled a 5 here, and a 5 is a D10. That means all minions in the dungeon are going to use a D10 for, and add their base movement to the result of a D10. So you can play it that way. The other variant is you can roll for each individual minion. So we had 5 minions. On each of the minions' turn, you're going to roll this D6, and they'll have veritable speed. Think of it that way. So the minion movement speed tracker, new to Dungeon Crusade, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, let's move on to the next thing in the monster phase. Okay, the next thing you're going to do in the monster phase is consult the minion population track, and this is how many minions you want in your dungeon. And as a side note, there are some certain game events that could raise the amount of minions in your dungeon, and a few of the quests. I kind of wanted to save that for a surprise for you. But remember, over here in our scenario book, minion population, that's an entry. So it has all those different difficulties. And remember, feel free to go off this. If you want to have more minions or less, go ahead, no problem. So right now, we have a red token on 5. So if we consult 5, that's normal difficulty. Comes into focus. So that's normal difficulty. That means we're going to have to spawn 5 minions in the dungeon because it's the start of the game. There's no minions in the dungeon. We went over this, but we'll go over it quickly again, and I want to show you the monster area after you populate the dungeon. Okay, and let's discuss quickly how to spawn minions into the dungeon. And you use the same method for guardians. You probably already know this. Let me just show you this real quick instead of moving the camera again. These are known, hopefully it comes into focus, they're monster spawn points. It's like these globes with numbers on them. And there's 8 of them around the dungeon. It's almost like a clock. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is how minions are going to spawn into the dungeon. What we're going to do is, and I already kind of did it, I drew the top card of the level 1 minion deck. Remember, we're working on quest table 1. Level 1 minions are going to spawn. If you're on quest table 2, level 2. And if you're working on quest table 3, what level will spawn? Level 3 minions. So we're going to pick on our friendly skeletal grunt again. So he is the first one. You're going to take a D8 and roll. Okay, so 2 came up. I have his miniature right here. So let's go over to spawn point 2. And 1 is right here. And 2 is right here in the Tomb of St. Viticus North. All you're going to do is place him right there. And let me tell you as a side note, because I know someone's going to ask, what happens if 2 comes up again? You are going to place that minion to the most north position and then go clockwise. So, of course, there's a chamber here. There's a chamber, part of the chamber here, right here. So if 2 would come up again for a spawn point, you're going to place it here, so on and so forth, okay? Lastly, let's wrap this up here. And you can do what you want. People do so many different things. Here's like your monster cards. This is known as the monster area. As you bring minions and guardians into the dungeon, you're going to place them like this, and we're going to go across. And then they, of course, activate in this way. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to quickly populate the rest of the dungeon, and we'll take a look at the monster area as soon as I'm done. Okay, so I have spawned 5 minions into the dungeon. So let's go through the dungeon and give you the lay of the land to see where they ended up at from using the D8. We had a cultist of Zal show up here at 8. And of course, our friendly skeletal grunt showed up there at 2. A wraith showed up right here at spawn point 4. And we had, I guess you could say, a dual spawn show up here with an orc archer and a blackwood prowler over here on 6. Okay, so let's go over to the monster area now, and let me show you how I laid the cards out and point something out that you may not know. And here is our monster area, and these were placed as they were spawned into the dungeon. So they will of course activate just like this, and then you could just start another row right here if a guardian would spawn in, or if there's a certain few game events that would spawn minions in. And what I wanted to point out is, you may already know, for each group of monsters, so let's just take the Blackwood Prowler, there is a green crystal on the card here, a blue and a red. So there's 3 types of that Blackwood Prowler: red, green, and blue, with their plastic bases. But what I wanted to point out is, I said in other videos, I wrote origin stories for all of the monsters and creatures. Red and green crystals, those are the elite minions. So let's just say our Blackwood Prowler, and this follows suit for all of them. When you see a red and green crystal, that's the elite version of that minion. When you see a blue crystal, like here on the Skeletal Grunt and over here on the Wraith, that has their origin story. So that's a normal version. And I think we chatted about the champion monsters are like that too. There's normal versions and elite. So that gives you some more variety in your minions of, you know, red and green crystals are elite, blue ones have their origin stories, and that's just normal minions. And guys, that is simply the 5 phases that comprise a turn in Dungeon Crusade. I hope you like this video. I do have a few things to say and let you know what's coming up, but I want to add a few things to the monster phase. As you could probably imagine, let's just say, you know, the minions now on their turn would move. So after you spawn them, they would take their turn. On the following turn, let's say that Enwyn used her long shot and took out that Blackwood Prowler. Okay, when we go into the next monster phase, there's only 4 minions in the dungeon, right? We're going to spawn in a new minion. So you're always going to have that, whatever that minion population is at, you're going to have that many minions in the dungeon. You probably already knew that, but I wanted to point that out. And of course, you would consult your monster area. So if a guardian would have spawned, actually didn't I? Well, yeah, we rolled that d20. So what, Banevic or whoever it was, they would be active. They would actually be the first one over there in that monster area. But hopefully you saw it was quite simple. And again, I don't want to roll the patrol route system, and I just grabbed the dice. There's 2 different kinds of patrol route dice. They work exactly the same. There's the monster footprint one, and then we have the classic skull one, which is my favorite. So you can choose whatever you want to use. They're exactly the same. The next video, I think that's what we're going to do. I want to talk about the patrol route system and how it works. It's very easy, but it provides that living dungeon experience. Like I said, you never have to think for the monsters, for the guardians and minions. They just move through the dungeon with unpredictable movement patterns. It's really crazy and cool how it all works. So that will be the next video. Well, actually, the second one. What I wanted to tell you is the very next video you're going to see is the proof video. Remember, we have all the proofs here, and I've just been so busy with everything. So I'm going to have that out very soon for you. So we're going to take a look at all the proofs. I'm sure you'd like to see that. Also, it is Saturday right now, early Saturday, and I have to dispatch the monthly Kickstarter update. So, as I said, I am quite busy. What we're going to do is I'm going to throw together the proof video because I want that for the Kickstarter update, so it's in there so everyone can see that. And then I'm going to work on dispatching the Kickstarter update after the video. So what I want to say is, bottom line is, the video with the patrol route system, it will be delayed by a few days because I have all this to work on. So Monday, latest by Tuesday, I will have that will be the next video in the Spotlight series, okay? And lastly, the Pledge Manager link is below. You know, we're going to be reviewing these. Print time is going to be coming up, but there's no danger of that closing. We'll have plenty of fair warning, but I just want to let you know late pledging is available if you want any add-ons that you didn't get before. check the link in the description and in the comment section. Okay, guys, I am off to do more Dungeon Crusade stuff. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you're even more acclimated to Dungeon Crusade after everything we talked about. If you followed all of this, you pretty much know how to play Dungeon Crusade. We'll have a video going over combat in the game, which I think you'll like. There's two different combat. There's the original combat system, the classic, and the revised. Much, much quicker, and I think most people will be playing it that way. But if you want something more strategic, and we have to think, the classic system is there for you also. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for your time and interest and your love. Love you guys, and I will see you in the proof video, which will be coming up very, very soon. All right, guys, have a great day. Bye-bye.